Hello and welcome to Colin Bradley Artcast. I'm Stephen Bradley.
And I'm Colin Bradley.
How you doing, Dad?
I'm doing well, thank you.
How
Enjoyed
was your
Christmas?
Christmas?
Oh, yes, I did. I lovely Christmas. I know you had one too with your little beautiful Elowen.
Yeah, it was magical. Even though she's 7 months old and she obviously doesn't know what Christmas is or what's happening, we were
Mm,
so excited on Christmas Eve
mm.
for her
Oh,
to wake
quite.
up the next day.
Yes. Oh, it doesn't matter what age they are. They still get the vibes, don't they? Vibes coming from you, coming from Mims, and everyone else they meet. It's just they get wrapped up in it, and it just gets better and better and better. I can assure you, as time goes on, as they get a little older. So, what you've experienced this time will be magnified twice over next time, and so on, right through. Never stops, as you know.
Oh,
I mean, you and our other children have all had that experience and that taken that with them because they're now experiencing it with their own family, and it's wonderful to
mm.
see.
Yeah, it is. It is a lovely. It was a lovely day, and then we came down to see you guys on Boxing Day and spent the family in your kitted out, decorated downstairs sort of living area, and it was lovely. It was a really nice day.
It was, and we were thrilled to bits with it all. I mean, we did when we were planning all of this. We thought, I wonder if it's going. Are we going to get everybody in? But we did easily, didn't we? And it was absolutely wonderful to have that an interaction with the whole family. Everybody enjoyed it, and they said they did. So that's all we can ask.
Yeah, it was lovely. So we hope everyone else had a lovely Christmas. Hope everyone had a really nice time. You've had a week off because it's been Christmas. You've had a week off drawing,
Hmm.
rightly so. Well deserved
Yeah.
week off drawing. So we haven't got a new picture to talk about this week, but there is still plenty for us to discuss. And actually, we've got to talk about, expound on a few points that we brought up in our Christmas show last week. So we'll talk about that,
Hmm.
and then a few other announcements and things that we'll talk about. So I'll try and remember it all if I can. But firstly, I'm going to mention an email that came in from Janet, and this is expanding on last week's podcast. Janet writes, "Hi Colin and Steve. I've just finished watching the latest podcast, Painting by Numbers. I decided to research the word artist included in the dictionary meanings and formulate my beliefs from my findings. From the Cambridge Dictionary, artist, noun, is a person who paints, draws, or makes sculptures. An artist is also a writer, actor, musician, dancer, or other performer. Nowhere does it say work is original or describe how an artist must create to be called an artist." So that's interesting at first.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Um, Janet goes on to say, "I believe the line drawing is simply the foundation. The rest results in understanding and creating the shading, hues, textures, dimensions, the blending and mixing of colours, learning the characteristics of the different types of surface, the results of different makes of pencils, the application of blenders to achieve a successful piece of pastel pencil work, and this is what we learn from Colin's classes. My daughter did her Bachelor of Contemporary Art at university, and I now believe the use of the word artist covers a multitude of approaches to achieve an outcome that evokes emotion and pleases the consumer or viewer." I love that. I think that is,
Absolutely, absolutely nutshelled it, isn't it? And,
yeah, that's absolutely well described.
it's wonderful they take the time to do that, though. You know, I mean, people have bees in their bonnets, and they think, you know, I really got to get to grips with this because that's all sounds very nice, but where's the data to back it up? And there you go.
Absolutely. Um, Janet says, "On a completely different note, my mother's cleaner saw a portrait I did of my mum's dog, who passed away recently, and argued with my mum, saying it was a photo and not artwork. Even when mum pointed out my signature, the cleaner said, 'You can do that with photos these days.' I don't know whether to take it as a compliment or be annoyed that hours of work resulted in people thinking that it was a doctored photo. At least my mum appreciated the effort. Thank you both for the outstanding work you do in creating the information for anyone to learn the craft of pastel pencil painting. Happy New Year to you and your families, and all the very best for a healthy, happy and exciting 2023. Cheers, Janet. Well, thank you so much, Janet, for taking the time to look that up and to send us an email on. And we're in complete agreement. I think it summarises how I've believed and the definition should be. And I didn't look that up in the dictionary. It's what you feel like it should be. And that just completely goes along with the same lines as we were talking about last week.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I couldn't agree with that more.
And as for your cleaner, well, I would take it as a compliment, but also it doesn't sound like you were going to be able to change her mind. If she thinks it's a doctored photo, then that's what she's going to want to believe. You can't, you can't convince her unless you film it like Dad films his classes and his paintings. How else can you prove it? But I'd take it as a compliment. You can't please everyone, and at least your mother likes it. So that's all important. But yeah, I thought that that was interesting. I wanted to read that out because I think that it backs up what we were talking about and hopefully puts other people's minds at rest that you can call yourself an artist. I think it's so, so important to feel that way, that you are creating something that evokes emotion and that pleases someone. It's brilliant. So we were chatting before we started recording, Dad, because you had a little story that you shared with me about a chap that completely disagreed with what we were talking about last week and completely disagrees with Janet's definition of what the dictionary says. So do you want to just share what you were saying to me before we started recording about that?
Well, it is vague memories now because it goes back quite a long time. But there was a competition, I believe it was in one of the art magazines. There was a competition that was run by Faber-Castell. Okay, I'm sure I got that right. And they had to submit pictures. And then I didn't get involved in this at all, except to give the prizes out. That was my job. So we had a meeting, and I'm sure this was at Olympia in London, of all the prize winners. Well, I say all, it was only about 4 or 5 different categories. And they all turned up, and they came with their spouses as well. And I had to give a prize away to these particular people. And one of the things that they had, and this has only just come back to me, what it was, there was a course that was being given away to one of the prize winners. And this chap won the prize. But he made a very good point to me in saying that I don't think we appreciate just how much effort goes into actually original work. Coming back to what we were talking about, it said the work that I did was original, and it obviously won. And he was crowing about this, and I said, "Well, that's great. Well done. Thank you very much." But when it came to the prize, he didn't want it. He said, "No, I don't want to come and want it. I don't want a course. Thank you very much." We were all taken aback by this, and he was adamant. He said, "No, I didn't," and we did clash a bit because I have my own views and he had his views, and in the end, we just couldn't agree with each other. So in the end, it was, well, okay, if you don't want the prize, that's fine. His wife then came and said, "Well, can I come instead?" So she actually attended one of the courses. I think it was a workshop, I seem to remember. It's very vague memories now because it goes back quite a long time. But that always stuck in my mind, that it's the only time that I've ever had an occasion to cross swords with somebody.
What specifically were you clashing about? What specifically were you clashing about?
He didn't like the idea of me being able to all the things that I did, teach people the way I would teach people, using square drawings. And I mean, with all my workshops I used to have, what I did, I used to supply a line drawing, just as we do now. And because if you don't do that, you've got most of the work is going to be trying to get things right, the drawing right. And I couldn't afford the time because we only had a day's workshop in this particular case. So it had to, from beginning to end, it had to have a finished picture. So I always supplied it, and he didn't like that. He wanted to do his own picture. And I thought, well, that's fine, but that's fine for you. But what about the other people who, on the workshop? Because it wasn't an individual. He wasn't going to one individual workshop. It was going to be a collective. Anyway, that's basically what it was. He didn't like the idea of having something ready-made to start off with. But it had to be done that way because what I was teaching is the techniques, just as I do today. And if you didn't have a framework to start off with, it would have been almost impossible to get up to usually about a dozen people on the right path. You see what I mean? Anyway, the workshops I had and used to have were very, very successful. But it was to teach the techniques. And I used to say during that workshop, if you want to draw your own pictures, this is how you do it. And I showed them the square drawing. I used to demonstrate that. This is how you can get your own picture if you're not competent enough to freehand draw. And that used to satisfy everybody, except this chap. He didn't like the idea of that.
And this, I suppose, is in a different age where there is no internet. This was far enough back. There was no internet. There was no, things didn't spread quite as much. So you probably didn't encounter as many as we may have done where we have done in the last however many years we've been online, of people disagreeing with that or having issue with that. So it must have been a bit of a surprise to encounter that, especially in person at somewhere like this high profile event, to encounter someone like that kind of is undermining everything that you're about. No wonder you clashed.
That's right. And I think there were other people there, remember, and they were all listening to this, and no one agreed with him. He was completely on his own, and I think that upset him. But I, as I say, the saving grace with his wife actually did come to the workshop in the end. Lovely. So she got the benefit of his bloody mindedness, really. You don't get many people like that, and I'm very, very fortunate.
And people are allowed to have their opinion. Absolutely, has every right to have an opinion. Just so happens it wasn't yours or ours, and our ethics and the way we work here. And if we did operate that way, we might not be able to reach as many people as we do. There's a lot of people out there that would not have been given this opportunity to learn if we had followed that same rule. So.
No, well, my policy right from the beginning was to help people to attain artwork themselves. And I know how difficult it would be, if you just give them a pencil and a few coloured pencils and then you've got to do it. You don't know where even to begin. It's this blank piece of paper syndrome. But once you can overcome that, which we do very successfully, then you can get them on the right road, and then that's when you can start to teach. There's an awful lot to learn, as people know, with the techniques that we do. No, I never really professed to be anything that I'm not. In fact, I don't know whether you ever knew this, but I never used to call myself an artist. People used to call me an artist, but I didn't. I said, no, I'm an art teacher. I'm an art tutor, that's how I saw my job, not as an artist.
I think that's because you're trying to detach any ego from it, right? When you say that.
That's right.
But, as Janet's email and definition would say, that there is, for other people to call themselves an artist, doesn't have to have a deep ego attached to it. They can, simply the act of creating and creating something that evokes that emotion, it still, allows them to say that. But I know that you did tell me that that is something you've never immersed yourself in, that definition of what you do, because you prefer to be thought of as the person that is giving that opportunity for other people to see themselves as an artist. But I think, and I'm sure everyone else out there would say to me, you're absolutely, without doubt, an artist. But you're happy for other people to say that.
I'm very happy for other people to say it, as long as I don't say it about myself, and I've never have done. And I should never do it, because I don't consider that to be a label, because I didn't have any real art training, as you know, and other people find that probably hard to believe. I didn't have any art training at all. I didn't go to art school, and that I always felt was perhaps something that I should have done. But I was told early on, don't do it, because once you start going down that road, you're going to be dictated to. You're going to be stymied on all the things that you naturally have. And this is a policy that I've adopted right up to now.
And that is us not at all in any way undermining other people that have gone down that academic route, because they have their own merits and values and parts to play 100%. So yeah, please, people that have gone down that route, don't think that we think any less of that route as an option. But perhaps if you had gone down that route, it wouldn't have turned out in the same way.
I wouldn't. No. I would have. I mean, the person that goes way back now, who actually told me that, promised me you will not go and have art lessons, because if you do, you're going to lose the spontaneity and the natural ability you've got. And I still remember those words today. And that's what's guided me all the way along. But as you say, that doesn't mean to say that people do go to art school and do art courses are wrong to do it. Of course they're not. If that's what they want to do, they should do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, excellent. Well, thank you, Janet. Thanks, Dad, for talking about those points. We have got a couple of shout outs. I feel like a radio show now, like we've got shout outs that people want to hear. We're really not that big, but it's lovely that people still want to shout out. So I've got to make sure. I've got Lily, got to give a shout out to Lily. So Lily is like one of our youngest ever students, I think.
Is that the young lady that's only 10 years old?
I think so. I think you're 10, Lily. I think that's how old you are. But we want to say hello to you. And we've got another shout out for Shirley. So we want to say, hi, Shirley. This is your shout out. I definitely feel like I'm a radio host now. So if anyone else wants to shout out on next week's show, you want to hear your name being read out, or have an email or anything you want to send to us, then please feel free to get in touch. Happy to do it. Only takes a second. Okay, cool. So the last point that I want to raise this week, last thing I want to talk about, is a bit of an end of an era for us. I mean, we're not stopping before people panic. We're not stopping. But we are going to start to close our doors to our online shop. Now, it might be a bit disappointing for people, but I did want to announce it on the show as we approach into New Year and going into the first half of the year, first quarter. We are going to be winding down the amount of products that we sell and eventually closing the doors, which is a bit of a sad moment. You know, we've had the shop since, well, you've done mail order for 35 years or more. You know, you've done mail order since the gallery pretty much started. But we took you online in 2012 because we set up the membership in 2011, and then we started the shop in April 2012. So I remember it very well, and it was very successful. But back even 10 years ago, over 10 years ago, it was a very different time even then in terms of being a small business online. And I think it's quite clear to everyone how bigger companies have increased competition, And I wanted to kind of explain a little bit why we've made that decision. And it's a few reasons, but the ones that are more prominent than others is Brexit. Brexit has affected us quite a lot. The being able to ship abroad internationally, especially to Europe, has become a lot more difficult. We had to stop selling to Europe because parcels never turned up, or they got delivered, or they got rejected and delivered back to us, or they just simply got lost. And it didn't make economical sense in the end as a business to offer that service, which is such a shame. So we had to stop that, and in various other countries. We're not a big company, we're a small family business. It's me and Mims here sending parcels out, and we don't have big delivery options and hundreds of parcels a day. So, big companies like Amazon have made it, a bit trickier to do that. And also being a small business, it has been tricky to, even though we are there for service and being able to respond to people, sometimes people forget that small independent family-run businesses are people too. When you're dealing with the likes of Amazon, you're kind of used to dealing with a bit of a cold kind of level of service, or expecting quite a lot back, and as a small business it's very difficult to match those same requirements. We can deliver that customer service, and we've always prided ourselves on being as good customer service as we can possibly be, but sometimes you get people that don't realize that you're a small family business and that people are human at the other end of the email. And so it's become less rewarding over time. We've stuck it out. We've done our best. We've tried to compete with Amazon. We've tried to discount our products as much as we can. We've kept shipping costs as low as we possibly can, especially international orders. We've tried our best to make it work. Probably over the last nearly 2 years, we've been struggling since Brexit started, and then we've tried to keep making it work, and it's just not happened. It's just not been possible, and we've really struggled to make it work. So we've had to make the decision. As I say, I know that will disappoint a lot of people, because you're going to have to find, for especially our most loyal customers, who we're very, very grateful for, everyone that's chosen to shop with us as a family business. It's meant the absolute world. And if you do get a chance to shop with an independent business, you are helping those people to put food on their tables, pay their rents, pay their mortgages. It's very different from supporting a big company, and it does really mean the world. When an order comes in as a small independent business, it's a big celebration. You're really pleased, and it's a bit of a different experience when you're a massive company. So I wanted to show the gratitude, and for everyone that shopped with us. I know there's going to be some questions. There's certain things like people have reward points. We want to allow people to spend those whilst we're starting to wind things down, and also transfer those over to membership and courses. So if people want to redeem that off of a membership, off of a course, off of a monthly payment, we'll do that. Obviously, we pride ourselves on customer service. I said that already, and we try and accommodate people as best we can. As I said, it's going to be tough for some people who want to get products. They might have to look elsewhere for those products. When it comes to things that we have created ourselves, or you have created, the packs and the square drawing grids, we're going to keep selling those. We're going to find a way of selling those so that people can still get those products, because those aren't ones you find anywhere else. They are unique to us, and we want to still make those available. So we just got to figure out how we're going to be selling those, but they will still carry on. So yeah, it's a bit of a sad moment, but it's happened because it had to happen. As I said, we tried to make it work, and it's just not been possible. So over the next, I'll keep everyone posted, probably on the podcast, on Facebook. We'll try and keep everyone informed of what's happening. But over the next few months, we are going to start winding down our stock and eventually closing the doors. And yeah, that's it. The membership's still carrying on. Courses, we're not giving that up anytime soon. People are still going to have all that. It's just the products, the physical products side of things. So if anyone's got any questions, feel free to email me, and I'll happily clarify them. But yeah, there you go. So it's a bit of an end of an era, but it allows us to move on with something from that. So I know we're a bit behind on the editing. It'll free up some time to catch up with that, and also give us time to think up other things and other ways that we can help serve our students and community. Okie dokie. All right then. So we'll leave it there for this week. Thank you everyone for listening and for watching. I'm Stephen Bradley.
And I'm Colin Bradley. Enjoy your week.
Enjoy your week. We should just say enjoy your year.
Oh, yes.
It's New Year, isn't it?
Well, we should say Happy New Year to everybody, I suppose.
Okay.
Shouldn't we?
Are we going to do like 1, 2, 3, Happy New Year?
Yeah, do that.
Okay. All right. 1, 2, 3. Happy New Year.
Oh, look at this little one. Hello, gorgeous. Oh, look how lovely she is. That's it. That's it. Oh, agree.